Hello, my Math 2 students. This is Mr. Blanchard, and I'm here to present you your lesson on factoring and different ways that we're going to factor in Chapter 5, Section 3. So, here are the different ways that we've talked about factoring in class so far. We've learned how to factor out the GCF. We factored quadratic trinomials using the t-chart or the x factor. We factored using perfect square trinomials. Well, here's the formula anyways. And here's the formula for the difference of squares. Here is factoring by grouping. We have the ax plus ay plus bx plus by equals to a parentheses x plus y close parentheses plus b parentheses x plus y close parentheses, and then you get a plus b times the sum of x plus y. So we've done factoring by grouping. And then the last thing, which is what we're going to be doing today, I have two examples I'm going to show you. We're going to do sum or difference of cubes. So that's what we're going to be working on today. We're going to do one problem with a sum of a cube, and we're going to do one problem with the difference of a cube. So, other thing that you guys need to know from this chapter is the square root of -1 is equal to I. So the square root of -1 is equal to I. So those are the things that you need to know. First problem. Here is your problem. It is 8x cubed minus 27 equals 0. So we have 8x cubed minus 27 equals 0. First, we have to recognize that this is a difference of cubes. So this is a difference of cube problem. And the cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of 27 is 3. So you guys need to know that in order to go ahead and do this problem. So once you do that, and recognize it is in this form because this is a difference of a cube problem, and this lets you know it's a difference of a cube problem, you're going to go ahead and put it in this form. Again, the a for the 8 is going to be 2 because the cube root of 8 is 2. And then the b for the 27 will be 3 because the cube root of 27 is 3. So once you know that and recognize that, then you can just put it in this form. And here's the easy part, putting it in the form. So we have 2x minus 3 in parentheses, and then we have 4x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now the reason why this is 4x squared is because 2 squared is 4. And then the x squared follows from the formula, and it's, we're going to square the x, so x squared, x quantity squared is x squared. We fill in the rest of it. So 2x times 3 is 6x, so that's where the 6x comes from, and the 9 comes from 3 squared is 9. So that's where all the numbers come from. Next, we're going to use the quadratic formula. So from here, we're going to use the quadratic formula. So we're going to use the quadratic formula to go ahead and solve the rest of the problem, because we have to find what the roots are. And we're going to have some imaginary roots. That's what you guys need to know. What the square root of -1 is I, because it means it's an imaginary number. So remember, anytime that you have a negative square root, it's going to be an imaginary number. Remember when you guys have done the square roots and you have a negative square root on your calculator and got an error message? Well, that's your calculator's way of letting you know that it is an imaginary number. So that's where the error message comes from. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. So all I did here was plug the numbers in from the quadratic formula. -6 plus or minus square root 6 squared minus 4 times 9 all over 2 times 4. Remember the song, negative b plus or minus square root plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac b squared minus 4ac all over 2a all over 2a. So remember, we're going to use that song to help you to use the quadratic formula. Remember, it does not go away. So, plugging it in, we get -6 plus or minus square root of 36 minus 144 divided by 8. So all I did from here to here was just simplify it and do the work. And then I did the same thing from here to here. I get negative 6 plus or minus square root of negative 108 divided by 8. Now, here's what we're going to do some factoring. And I've done the factoring work over here. So if you can point your attention over here, please. 108 factors out to 2 and 54. 2 times 54 is 108. And then 54 factors out to 2 and 27. And then 27 factors out to 9 and 3. And then 9 is 3 and 3. So what I did here is I circled my pairs of numbers. So I circled my pairs of numbers. They're going to get married and they're going to leave the chapel. Think of the radical sign here as a chapel. So they're going to leave the chapel. They're going to leave as one couple. So they're going to leave as one happy couple. So only one goes out. So we have 1, 2 that's coming out, and we have 1, 3 that's coming out. And I'm going to show you that right here. So we have negative 6 plus or minus 2 times 3i. Because remember, there's no, negative here, so it comes out and we make an I. So we have 2 times 3i, and the leftover 3, because it's all by itself, stays in the chapel. So it's trying to pick up somebody who else is alone. So it stays in the chapel. So it stays in the chapel, so it stays under the radical. And then the 8 comes down. So then next thing is we have negative 6 plus or minus 6i times the square root of 3 divided by 8. So that is the next thing. And then we're going to go ahead and clean up the problem and divide everything by 2. So everything that's outside the radical gets divided by 2. So the negative 6 becomes a negative 3. Plus or minus stays the same. The 6i becomes a 3i. And the 8 becomes a 4. And everything else stays the same. And then, can't forget about the other root to get the other 0. Because that's one set of zeros. And to get the other 0, we're going to take this thing right here, the 2x minus 3. We're going to set it equal to 0 and then solve the equation. So we're going to do 2x minus 3 equals 0. Remember, we add 3 to both sides, then divide by 2. So that is how we get 3 over 2. So that's how we get 3 over 2 for this second term right here. So we get negative 3 plus or minus 3i times square root of 3. All that divided by 4. That's part of it. And then we get 3 over 2 for the other part. Now, do the next problem. Next problem is 27x cubed plus 1 equals 0. So we have 27x cubed plus 1 equals 0. First thing we're going to do is get it in the form. So this is a sum problem. So we're going to use the sum formula from that first page there. So we're going to just put it in the formula. Cube root of 27 is 3, and the cube root of 1 is 1. So we just plug it in. So we have 3x plus 1. That goes out in front. And then we have 9x squared minus 3x plus 1. So remember, this goes from the form for the sum formula, from the sum formula. So you can go back to the first page. Make sure that you guys should have copied it down so we can get that, so you can refer to it. Now, next thing, we're going to use the quadratic formula. So we're plugging the numbers in, the quadratic formula. Remember, this is negative b. Because this is negative, that's going to be a positive out front. That's why I did not take the negative sign with it. So we have 3 plus or minus square root of 9 minus 4 times 9 times 1. All that's divided by 2 times 9. So that is our formula. Now from here, I just did the work. 4 times 9 times 1 is 36. So we have 3 plus or minus square root of 9 minus 36 divided by 18. Next thing is we have 3 plus or minus square root of negative 27 divided by 18. So over here, we are going to find the square root of 27 and put it in radical form. So 27, the factors are 9 and 3, and then 9 the factors are 3 and 3, so we have a pair of 3s. So remember, the 3s get married and they leave as one happy couple. So they leave the chapel, this 3 stays because it's all by itself and it stays in the chapel. So we left with 3 plus a minus 3i times the square root of 3 divided by 18. And then we are going to simplify. We're going to divide everything by 3. Remember, you always simplify fractions whenever possible. And the only way that you can simplify a fraction is if all the terms, so this that's in front of the radical and this that's in the denominator, if they all have the same, if they can all have be divided by the same number, can you simplify? So we have 1, that's a 1, plus or minus I times the square root of 3 divided by 6. And then can't forget about the other factor. So the other factor is -1/3. And we get that from 3x plus 1 equals 0. You subtract x from both sides, so we get -1. And then -1 divided by 3 is going to be -1/3. So there you have it. These are the problems. Thank you very much.